Hey, what's up, everybody? I've got a question for you. Do you ever feel like the stuff that you're buying nowadays is worse than it used to be? Like it just doesn't work as well and it falls apart a lot quicker? Because I know that is definitely the case for me. Whether it's my phone or my Windows 11 operating system or the earbuds that I buy to listen to music, it just seems like nothing really works that well or lasts very long anymore. And so today I want to talk about a few novel companies that are starting to gain traction here in the States and why they might be kind of a signal for what's to come. And that is just a small team of people coming together to run a very small business and provide high quality, reliable products. And I gotta tell you, I really think that some of these have the potential to become massive over time because they're obviously very high quality. They obviously operate with the kind of philosophy that we're looking for in the modern age, which is sustainability and US based employment, reusability, and extremely robust quality. The first one that we're going to take a look at today is American Giant. And before I get into it, I want to roll the footage from the founder who founded this company back in, I think it was 2011 or 2012.
I'd just gotten fed up with what I was seeing in the clothing industry in particular. It had become an industry that was making really cheap stuff, was chasing the cheapest means of production, no matter what the cost was. You know, terrible environmental enforcement, bad human rights records, just to put the cheapest possible product in front of consumers. And I thought that was really bad for the things that we care about. I thought it was really bad for the people and places that make things. And so I wanted to prove there was another way to do it, hopefully a better way. You know, I think we've seen over the last decade what the implications are when we become, so addicted to cheap stuff and the tons of clothing that ends up in landfills and the poor quality and the disconnecting that happens from the people and the places that make things. And there's something really magical when you connect with the people that are making your clothes.
So that's kind of the operating philosophy that they're using over there, and that is great stuff. I think he totally gets it. People are getting tired of buying cheap crap made in a place where people are basically operating under slave labor rules. This clothing really looks good too. This is something that I would wear. For sure. I really like the colors on this thing. And you can tell that it's just very, very well made. Like it's going to last years. Now, that being said, it does come with a higher price tag of about $170 before tax. And that's something to consider when we're talking about high quality American made stuff because people here need to be paid more. And when you have higher quality materials, you have to pay more for those as well. So you're paying more for the labor and the material cost, which is definitely hard to do in today's economic climate, given that we're all basically still just trying to pay our rent and afford health insurance and keep our cars running. But I do think there will be a day in the future, within the next 10 years, where wages will catch up and generally things will catch up and we will be able to afford stuff like this. Because the other thing that you have to remember is that this is for the individual who wants to wear the same thing for a long period of time. This is a product that's not going to break down. The threading on this is not going to fray or tear. You're not going to have holes in the seams and stuff like that. They're using high quality thread, high quality fabric. They're using high quality seam protection methods like the overlock stitch. It's just really great stuff. And that's why you're going to pay more for it. But that also means you probably won't have to buy a hoodie for 10 years. Great job for these guys. I really like what they're doing. Let's move on to the next company here called Mr. Turtle. This is something that was started up by two Cal Poly students named Benjamin and Colin. This is them here with their first machine. And basically what this machine is and what it does is it just goes into a store who is willing to participate with their program and it'll dispense one of three soaps, either a hand soap, a dish soap, or a laundry detergent. And you interface with it through a touch screen and it basically shows you exactly how much you're going to be charged for the soap that you're using as it's being dispensed, kind of like a gas pump, and then it prints a sticker for you, which you can slap on the bottle or you just take up to the front of the store and you pay for your soap. What's so brilliant about this is it takes advantage of the fact that a lot of stores sell those disposable pump bottles now. You go to a store and they have basically full plastic pump bottles with soap in them already, and you buy that for $5 or $6. but most of what you're buying is that pump bottle. So once you're done with that pump bottle that you bought at another store, you just take it in empty and you fill it up here at one of these machines. It's absolutely brilliant. And then that is a lot of plastic that is no longer just being wasted. Because when you throw away that pump bottle, I mean, that bottle in of itself is fairly thick plastic, but then the pump has a ton of plastic in it. So now you're going to be reusing that thing basically until it breaks, which means you're going to save money and not waste so much plastic and pollute as much. I think it's brilliant. This is really, really good stuff. I hope to see these in my stores. I hope to see this here. I would use this all the time because I've been refilling my plastic bottles, but this makes it a whole lot easier. Now you don't even have to buy a bigger bottle, basically, in order to fill your stuff up. You just skip the whole thing, and the demonstration they gave in the video, it looked pretty cheap, like very well priced. So kudos guys. We're gonna go on to the last product here called the Slot Grill, which is made by a company called Precision Cut Metals LLC. This is a guy who's been doing a lot of marketing on YouTube, and he's got a very rudimentary site that works very well for sales, and he basically just puts these things up for sale and runs out of stock immediately. Because as you can see, this thing is solid steel, and it collapses into a nice little carrying case that's about 1/2 inch to 1 inch somewhere in there, and it unfolds into this very sturdy, moderately sized grill that you can use anywhere. And I gotta say, what a genius setup here. Apparently, fabricating metal like this is not easy to do. This kind of a design is very, very clever from what I've read, and really does a good job at retaining heat, pushing it through the grate to where the meat is, and doing so in an even fashion. I could totally see myself bringing this along when I go camping. This thing looks absolutely indestructible. Like, you could throw all kinds of wood or coal or whatever you want in there and just have a very, very good grill to use. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I go to those campsites and they have the grills there, I don't really want to use them. I don't really know what other people have put on there, or if they've sprayed anything on there, and this is a great way to make sure that you just have a nice clean grill every time you go. And this will never break, obviously. It's like 4 or 5 pieces of steel, which is why it's so brilliant, and it does come with a handle, as you can see. This thing is currently priced at about $150. I think that's totally fair. Again, when you're making things in America with high quality materials, you're gonna face that higher price point. But this is another product that will last you the rest of your life, given that you don't leave it out in the rain or something like that. This thing will never, ever fail. I'm really happy that people are starting to come forth with some really good ideas like this, and I'm really liking the philosophy behind a lot of these companies that are getting up and running. When we're focusing on things like using materials made in America, employing workers in America, reusability, structural integrity, and saving people money, it really doesn't get much better than that for me, because I feel like that's where I'm getting the most bang for my buck. And that money and that value is staying here in the United States, where it can be circulated. This guy, for instance, that sells the Slot Grill, let's say he sells 10 units, that's $1,500. Well, that $1,500 is probably going to be spent at his local grocery store or his local hardware store or something like that, and it just gets circulated here instead of like going overseas. We really never should have done that. We never should have offshored all of our labor and our product manufacturing and started giving all kinds of money to other countries to do that stuff. I think these guys are showing us that you can start super small here in America if you've got a really good idea and a quality product. Even at $170 for a hoodie or $150 for a collapsible grill, people will still buy your product, because yes, times are tough right now, but you got to remember that this isn't a traditional recession that we're entering where nobody seems to have money. What we've seen over the last 5 years is essentially the money go to the top. So if you guys didn't know, the top 20% of US households, as far as net worth, now possess nearly 90% of the wealth here in America. I think it's just that a small percentage of people now have most of the wealth. And so you can market high quality goods like these to those people, and you're still going to make sales. So absolutely, if I were you, I would start writing down ideas that you have. I would start trying to learn skills and start trying to make a product, or potentially a service, whatever you want to offer. I think there's still opportunity out there, and I think that within the next 10 years we will see a time when people who have been working during this down period are going to start making a lot of money for their smart products and smart services that they have become very, very adept at providing. So that's a bit of optimism. I'm really liking what I see with all of this stuff. And this is only 3 examples. There's plenty more out there. So put on your thinking caps, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.